mentioned the border issue and closing the border. But we are told by many Republican leaders, it's a national debate, that if we try and take that on with strong stands, that we're alienating the Hispanic vote, which, as we know, is a massively growing vote. And I believe the majority of voters in 3 states will be Hispanic within the next just 2 or 3 years. It's a huge growing vote. It's a huge growing vote in this state, in the Chicago area. Do you think we risk that voting base? And how do you bring that voting base to this party if we take strong stands on that issue?
I mean, you point out the political reality that probably has crippled the debate thus far. I think people probably know in their heart what we should do, but there's this idea that it's politically unpopular and politically unpalatable. I think the way in which we have the dialogue is important, and I think the tone is very important. One of the things that would be very important to me is to not use words that denigrate groups of people, and to not have this debate in a way that uses inflammatory rhetoric. Because at the heart of this issue, beyond the fact that it's a foreign policy issue, we are talking about human beings. And I think we have to speak to the respect and the dignity and the kindness of every human being. And I think that if we are able to approach this in a way that doesn't seem like it's about being punitive and demonizing people and demonizing groups of people, and make it just about the issue, make it just about how we are vulnerable as a country if we do not secure the border, I think that's the way the dialogue begins. But I think we also have to speak with compassion. I haven't fully decided what should happen to people who are here illegally. I think it's a very difficult issue. Securing the border is easy. I think that's the easy part, and if we tackled that first, it doesn't become about some of the issues that you raised. But speaking with compassion about what is it that we do with people who are here illegally? What is it that we do with people who are already integrated into communities, who may have been here for 25 years? Having a policy that recognizes that there are families that we decide we don't want to separate them. I think that's the tough issue, and that's a dialogue that I want to be part of, because I want to have the dialogue in a way that isn't inflammatory. But I think if we can separate securing the borders from the conversation about what do we do with people who are already here illegally, I think we're able to make some progress on the first, which I think everyone would agree, and then we can deal with the second, and we can do so in a way that respects the dignity of each and every person.
Rodney, when you made comments about Central America countries, many of us see and agree with you there, but I wonder how specifically you deal with it. You express your concern, we agree, but what kind of policies? When you say we shouldn't let dictatorships get away with pushing us around, and yet we have to open a dialogue with them and work with them, what do you mean, policy-wise, as a congressman? What do you favor?
First off, I want to address the question Erica had. Hispanic Americans understand the need to secure the border. That's not even a question. That's how we ensure that we can then get beyond securing the border and move toward telling them why conservative principles and why cutting spending, reducing the debt, ensuring we don't run a deficit is important to them and to their families, so that we can have the jobs and we can grow the economy. Central America, what do we do? Hugo Chavez, for example. Venezuela is one of our biggest, they're one of the biggest suppliers of oil for America. Do we stop buying oil from Venezuela? No. We have to have levels of conversation with governments like that to ensure that we keep that open dialogue. Because once we stop that dialogue, as we've seen in Cuba, and as we've seen in other countries, it's pretty tough to get it back. Let's keep the dialogue open. Let's continue to trade, because that's what benefits not only America, but also our agricultural interests here in Illinois.
In one sense, I don't quite understand your answer. You know, we need to keep the dialogue open. We agree. But what does that dialogue lead to? At what point do we do what to compel that country to do what we want it to do? Venezuela is a perfect example.
At what point do we attack Venezuela?
Not attack. Venezuela, the Venezuelan government is making strong anti-U.S. pronouncements. How do we dissuade them from doing that?
I think we dissuade them by ensuring that we continue to trade with them.
Okay. Kathy, you discussed China. If you become a congressman, there are powerful interests, massive interests, you know, all those ultra-wealthy corporations, international banks, all kinds of powerful people that want to retain this incredibly large economic relationship with China. How, as a congressman, will you influence that toward your values?
Right. Well, let me say that we have to stop borrowing from China. And we have to stop that. We have to stop saying, can we have more money? When we stop borrowing from China, then we're able to start having some negotiations. We're able to have some dialogue there. Because when you know somebody wants something from you, you're not on an equal footing. As far as the powerful companies and things like that, my focus is going to be on getting the fiscal responsibility. I cannot worry about the powerful companies.
All right, let's turn to the economy. The number